Let us continue hydrogen and its compounds. In that we will take hydrates. In the ionic hydrates, in the ionic hydrates continuation we will say, we will take lithium hydride. Lithium hydride, it is treated with aluminum chloride. Treated with aluminum chloride, we are getting lithium aluminum hydride. Lithium aluminum hydride. This lithium takes chlorine and becomes lithium chloride. Now lithium aluminum hydride, how it will be there? That we will see. Lithium ion Li plus, aluminum hydride AlH4 minus. Lithium aluminum hydride we can write like this, Li plus AlH4 minus, like this we can write. This AlH4 minus, how to write? This Al, 4 hydrogens we will write, 4 hydrogens. 4 hydrogens we have written. Negative charge we have to give to which one? Then negative charge we have to give for which? That we have to see. That means how this lithium hydride reacting with aluminum chloride to give lithium aluminum hydride, that part we will see. Now here lithium hydride, here lithium is alkali metal ion, so Li plus 1 we will write, H minus 1 we will write. H is having minus 1 means it is having lone pair. Aluminum chloride we will write here. Aluminum chloride Al and Cl, 3Cl are there, 3Cl we will write. Aluminum belongs to boron family, that means group 3A. This valence shell contains 3 electrons. 3 electrons have gone for bonding. Now, this lone pair is donated here. This bond is shifting. So this comes out as Cl minus and Li plus becomes LiH. Sorry, Cl minus. This Cl minus and Li plus becomes LiCl. That means this Cl is replaced by what in the sense H. That means between H and Al, dative bond only is forming. In this dative bonding, aluminum is acceptor, H is donor. Therefore, this negative charge comes to which one you see, aluminum or hydrogen. We can say that negative charge comes to aluminum because it is acceptor. So AlH4 minus we can write like this, Li plus. It is called lithium aluminum hydride, which is used as a reducing agent. Next, lithium hydride plus diborane BTH6. BTH6 name is diborane. Gives lithium borohydride, LiBH4. Lithium borohydride, LiBH4. Instead of aluminum, boron is there. Aluminum and boron comes under same group, third A group. Then we'll go for covalent hydrates. Before discussing covalent hydrates, we will take another ionic hydride, that is calcium hydride. This calcium hydride is used as what in the sense? Desiccant. This calcium hydride CaH2 is used as a desiccant, we can say. This calcium hydride is used as desiccant. Desiccant. Desiccant means drying agent. Desiccant in the sense a drying agent. Why it is used as a desiccant? Why it is used as a drying agent means which one has to be dried, that will be placed over calcium hydride. This calcium hydride is a very good absorber of water. That's why desiccant. So it absorbs water. It absorbs water and becomes what? This H minus takes this H plus and becomes hydrogen gas. Calcium ion takes hydroxide ion and becomes a calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide. Therefore, calcium hydride is used as what means a desiccant, we can say. Desiccant in the sense drying agent. Desiccant means a drying agent, we can say. Then we'll see about some binary hydride. Some binary hydride. Hydride in the sense, this compound must contain hydrogen. Binary in the sense two elements should be present. Binary in the sense two elements, two different elements should be present. Sir, what is the two elements present? That compound will take sodium hydride. Here two different elements present. CaH2, two different elements present. Calcium 1, hydrogen 1, two different elements present. Then we'll see ternary hydride. Ternary hydride. Ternary hydride. Lithium borohydride. Here if you see three different elements are present. Lithium, boron, hydrogen. Three different elements present. Then lithium aluminum hydride. Here one element lithium, second element aluminum, third element hydrogen. Three different elements present. Therefore it is called ternary hydride. Next type of hydrides will go for covalent hydrides. In the covalent hydrides, we will take group 3 elements. Group 3 elements boron will take. That boron forming hydride, that is called BH3. Group 3 forms hydride. Then group 4 forms hydrides. Group 15 form hydride. Group 16 form hydride. Group 17 form hydride. It is 3A, that means 13th group, IUPAC 13th group. It is 4A, carbon is 4A, IUPAC 14th group. Nitrogen 5A, IUPAC group number 15. Oxygen 6A, IUPAC group number 16. Fluorine 7A, IUPAC group number 17. Like this we can write. Now, here boron we are taking, that is group number 3A. This valence shell contains 3 electrons. This is making bond with hydrogen like this. Group 3A hydride. In this group 3 hydride, this valence shell is having electrons. How many means 6 electrons? This valence shell is having 6 electrons. This valence shell is having 3 bonds. This valence shell is having 3 bonds. Therefore, 6 electrons present in this valence shell. 6 electrons in the sense less than octet. Therefore, it is called electron deficient hydride. This is called what means electron deficient hydride. So group 3A hydrides form electron deficient hydrides. Okay. Now methane we will take. Methane carbon we have taken. The valence shell is having 4 electrons. The valence shell is having 4 electrons. It is making bond with the hydrogen. These are making bond with the hydrogen, we can say. Now the carbon valence shell is having 4 electrons. That means now 4 bonds are there. 4 bonds in the sense 8 electrons. So 8 electrons present in this valence shell. 8 electrons in the sense it is octet. This one is a octet. So it is obeying octet rule. So it is called a electron precise hydride. Electron precise hydride. Electron precise hydride we can say it is. Next we will take ammonia. In the ammonia nitrogen we will take and 3 hydrogens we will take. Okay. Nitrogen valence shell. Nitrogen valence shell contains 5 electrons. Nitrogen valence shell contains 5 electrons. Now this electron making bond like this. Now after making bond, now nitrogen valence shell is having octet configuration. In this nitrogen valence shell contains 2 more electrons that is not bonded. So this nitrogen is having still more electrons in order to form bond. Therefore, it is called electron rich hydrides. Electron rich hydrides we can say. That means this is having electrons. This valence shell is having electrons more than required for bonding. Therefore, it is called electron rich hydrides. Then water will write. In water, oxygen is having 6 electrons in its valence shell. It is making bond with hydrogen. It is making bond with hydrogen. Now we can say that it is also electron rich hydride. HF we will take. In the HF, the fluorine comes under 7th A group. This valence shell is having 7 electrons. Hydrogen valence shell is having 1 electron. Now a single bond is formed here. Now this fluorine is having still more electrons for bonding in the valence shell. Therefore, it is coming under electron rich hydrides. So 15, 16, 17 groups coming under electron rich hydrides. 14th group coming under electron precise hydride. 13th group comes under electron deficient hydrides. 13th group comes under electron deficient hydrides, we can say. Next we will go for metallic hydrides. D block elements and F block elements forming metallic hydrides. Which D block elements form metallic hydrides, that we'll see. Group 3 will take. In group 3, which are forming metallic hydrides means scandium, yttrium, lanthanum, then actinium forming metallic hydrides. So in group 3A, in group 3B, all the elements forming metallic hydrides. Then group 4 will take. In the group 4, titanium, zirconium, hafnium forming metallic hydrides. In group 5, vanadium, niobium, tantalum forming metallic hydrides. In group 6, chromium forms metallic hydride. Group 7, no metals forming metallic hydride. Group 8, none is forming metallic hydrides. 9 also not forming metallic hydrides. In 10, nickel forms metallic hydride, palladium forms metallic hydride. Group 11 and group 12 do not form metallic hydrides. Now, in group 6, chromium alone forms metallic hydride, that is CrH. Group 7, group 8, group 9 is not forming metallic hydrides, therefore it is called hydrogen gap. We will call this as hydrogen gap. Group 7, group 8, group 9 are not forming metallic hydrides, therefore it is called a hydrogen gap, we can say. Then in F block elements, which are forming metallic hydrides, we will see. Now we will take lanthanides, we will take. In the lanthanides, cerium, praseodymium, neodymium, then promethium is not forming, then samarium, europium, gadolinium, terbium, dysprosium, holmium, erbium, thulium, ytterbium, lutetium forming metallic hydrides. Then actinides. Actinides, if you see, thorium, protactinium, uranium, neptunium, plutonium, americium forming metallic hydrides. From lanthanides and actinides, the mentioned elements form metallic hydrides, we can say. Then how to prepare metallic hydrides, that we will see. We will take metal, we are taking metal. This metal is taken in which state? In the sense finely divided state. Metal we are taking, hydrogen gas we are passing, high pressure we are keeping, high pressure, and it is heated. What is formed? In the sense metallic hydrides are formed. The formed metallic hydrides will be in which state? The formed metallic hydrides will be in finely divided state. Why? Why it is in finely divided state? Because we are taking a metal. How the metal lattice will be there? In the metal atoms are there. How the metal atoms are there means metal atoms arranged in a particular order. Metal atoms arranged in a particular order like this. Metal atoms arranged like this. Now, this metal is heated with hydrogen gas under high pressure, while hydrogen comes to this interstitial site. this hydrogen comes to this interstitial site. Interstitial site means this vacant site, this empty gap. Hydrogen comes to this interstitial site. That hydrogen is unable to get complete space for occupying. Hydrogen is unable to get the required volume for occupying. Therefore, what happens means the metal atoms here getting a somewhat, they are moving somewhat far away. So this empty gap distance is, this empty gap volume is increasing. Now hydrogen is able to occupy this place. Therefore, how metal is converted into metallic hydride in the sense, these metal atoms are moving far away and hydrogen is occupying this place. That means the metallic hydride obtained in finely divided state. Metallic hydride, how it will be there means it is in finely divided state. Finely divided state in the sense it is not like a, it is like just like a powder form. It is just like a powder form. Okay, metallic hydride will be in a, will be just like a powder form. This metallic hydride is in a finely divided state. This is heated strongly. What happens means hydrogen gas escapes away. What is the rest? Metal is the rest. That metal is in a very pure form. That metal is in which state? Finely divided state. Therefore, that is used as catalyst. So catalyst in the sense finely divided state only will be used as a catalyst, no? Because finely divided state means surface area will be more. If surface area is more, then catalyst will act properly. Therefore, more surface area is required. So, whenever you are using metal as a catalyst, you have to take metal in the finely divided state. How to prepare finely divided state metal? First, to convert metal into metallic hydride. Then, metallic hydride, strongly heat the metallic hydride. On strongly heating the metallic hydride, what happens means you will get a metal in finely divided state. So you are getting metal in finely divided state. That finely divided state metal can be used as a what in the sense catalyst. Sorry. Next, the metallic hydrides, when it is forming, how it is forming in the sense hydrogen occupying this interstitial site. Therefore, metallic hydrides are also called interstitial hydrides. We can call metallic hydrides as interstitial hydrides. Okay. Now, metallic hydride is possible when hydrogen occupies this interstitial site, while the metal atoms moving somewhat far away. Therefore, here distortion is possible. But in ionic hydrides, the metal atoms are not moving far away. The hydrogen goes and occupying the interstitial site. So in the ionic hydrides, distortion not possible, but in metallic hydrides, distortion is possible. Okay. So this metal, so here distortion is possible in metallic hydrides. In ionic hydrides, distortion is not possible. Therefore, how the density of metallic hydride will be there when compared to its parent metal? Its parent metal. How it will be there? In the ionic hydrides, we said density of ionic hydride is greater than density of density of its parent metal. Correct? Because no distortion. But here distortion takes place, therefore density of metallic hydride is less than its parent metal because of distortion. So distortion is the dominant factor here. Therefore, here how the density is there means density of metallic hydride is less than that of parent metal, we can say. And another thing we can say, it is metallic hydride is obtained in finely divided state. Why it is available in finely divided state? Hydrogen comes for occupying this interstitial site. The empty gap in the interstitial site is not enough for occupying hydrogen gas. Therefore, metal atoms are moving far away. Then only hydrogen gas is occupying. Metal atoms are moving far away in the sense it is dividing. Therefore, metallic hydride is obtained in the finely divided state. So, then the metallic hydrides is used as a reducing agent. How? In the sense, in the interstitial site, hydrogen atom will be there. Otherwise, H plus in one interstitial site, in the neighboring interstitial site, electron. This electron is responsible for reducing another substance. Therefore, metallic hydrides is used as reducing agent. It is having reducing nature due to presence of atomic hydrogen, otherwise presence of delocalized electron. Okay. Next, we will see about occlusion. Next, we are going for occlusion. Next, we will take occlusion. So, what is occlusion? That we will see. Now, we will take an example. We will take a hydrogen gas. We will take hydrogen gas in this vessel. We are taking hydrogen gas in this vessel. Then we will take red hot palladium metal and we will drop into this. Red hot palladium metal is dropped into this. Red hot palladium metal is dropped into this and allowed for cooling. While cooling, what happens means this palladium absorbs hydrogen gas. This palladium is taking hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas enter into palladium because in palladium interstitial sites are there. So hydrogen gas goes and occupying the interstitial sites. This palladium takes how much hydrogen means volume of palladium is how much you see. It will take 935 times of volume of palladium. That much hydrogen it will take. Volume of palladium is suppose 1 liter means this palladium will take 935 liters of hydrogen gas it will take. Volume of palladium is 1 liter means this palladium will take 935 liters of hydrogen gas it will take. It is taking hydrogen gas, that hydrogen gas occupying the interstitial sites. Okay. Then on heating, what will happen means the hydrogen gas comes out. On heating, it is taking palladium, it is taking hydrogen gas. We have said no. That property is called occlusion. On heating, the taken hydrogen gas comes out. Therefore, this property will be used for transporting hydrogen gas from one place to another place. Hydrogen is a gas. So transporting gas is difficult, but transporting solid is easy. Therefore, whenever you want to transport hydrogen gas, okay, use it like, make it like this. That means red hot palladium, keep in hydrogen gas and cool it. Palladium goes for occlusion. That means palladium takes hydrogen gas, then transfer it. Then when we want hydrogen gas, heat the palladium, the hydrogen gas present in the interstitial site will come out. Sir, which and all will show occlusion? Occlusion shown by palladium, platinum will show occlusion property. Sir, next we will go for a hydrogen peroxide. Next we are taking hydrogen peroxide. We will take. Okay, hydrogen peroxide, where it is used? Hydrogen peroxide, where it is used? To clean that ear, to clean the hair, hydrogen peroxide 1 or 2 drops will be added. It will clean this. Then similarly, in the nails, if dirt is there, to remove that, 1 drop of hydrogen peroxide will be added. That will remove that dirt completely. Wounds. For cleaning the wounds, hydrogen peroxide solution can be applied and can be cleaned. So hydrogen peroxide is used in medicine, as well as hydrogen peroxide is used for some other purpose also. What is the purpose in the sense? For bleaching, hydrogen peroxide is used. Bleaching in the sense removing unwanted color. To remove unwanted color, we can use what in the sense? This hydrogen peroxide we can use. Then statues, if we see, statue we will take. Statue in the sense generally it is made up of alloys or it is made up of metal. In the alloys, suppose lead is present, lead Pb is present. Otherwise, this statue is coated with white coating, white paint. That white paint contains lead salts. That white paint contains lead salts. Atmosphere contains hydrogen sulfide gas. The white paint lead salts react with atmospheric pollutant hydrogen sulfide gas and becomes black. Therefore, the statue which is coated with white paint becomes black. In order to restore white color, the statue will be washed with hydrogen peroxide solution. Therefore, this hydrogen peroxide is used for many cases, we can say. Sorry. Now, how to prepare hydrogen peroxide? How to prepare hydrogen peroxide in the laboratory? That we will see. This hydrogen peroxide is going for chemical reaction under normal condition. How do we say it is going for chemical reaction under normal condition? Suppose if a lot of dust is there in the air, we can remove that dust by applying one drop of hydrogen peroxide under normal condition. That means it is quite reactive, that's why, isn't it? As soon as a drop of hydrogen peroxide is added in the nails where dirt is there, immediately you can see brisk efflorescence. That dirt will be removed immediately. That means hydrogen peroxide is quite reactive under normal condition, isn't it? Why it is quite reactive? Because it is unstable. Peroxide is unstable. Therefore, during preparation of hydrogen peroxide, we must be careful. And storing hydrogen peroxide also, we must be careful. Okay, sir. How to prepare hydrogen peroxide in the laboratory? That we will see. We are taking a sodium peroxide. We are taking sodium peroxide. Sodium peroxide formula Na2O2. This sodium peroxide, what are the ions present in this? That is sodium ion Na plus and peroxide ion O2 2 minus. In the sodium peroxide, what is there means sodium ion Na plus is there and peroxide ion O2 2 minus is there. Peroxide ion O2 2 minus is present. It is sodium peroxide. This peroxide O2 2 minus, how it is present means O, 2 oxygens we have given, -2 we will split and we will give -1 here, -1 here we will give, then we will give electrons. Oxygen comes under 6th group because of -1, 7 electrons present, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 electrons are written. For this O minus also 7 electrons. For this O minus also 7 electrons we have given. Sorry. Next, between O and O, we will give single bond. This is peroxide ion. This is called peroxy linkage. This is peroxide ion. This is called, we can say, peroxy linkage, we can say. Sorry. This sodium peroxide we have taken. To this, we are adding sulfuric acid. What sulfuric acid means? Dilute sulfuric acid. What is the condition required means cold condition is required. So cold dilute sulfuric acid we are taking. That which cold in the sense ice cold. Ice cold dilute sulfuric acid we are taking, sodium peroxide we are adding into this. What is produced means hydrogen peroxide is produced. Hydrogen peroxide is produced. Then the sodium takes sulfate and becomes what means sodium sulfate. Sodium sulfate. Now hydrogen peroxide crystals produced here we can say. Okay, so sodium peroxide on treating with ice cold dilute sulfuric acid, what we are getting means hydrogen peroxide we are getting. Next, hydrated barium peroxide we will take. We are taking barium peroxide solid. What barium peroxide we are taking in the sense hydrated barium peroxide we are taking. Hydrated BaO2.8H2. It is called hydrated barium peroxide. We are taking hydrated barium peroxide. To this, what we are adding in the sense ice cold dilute sulfuric acid we are adding. We are adding ice cold dilute sulfuric acid. Ice cold dilute sulfuric acid we are adding. What we are getting in the sense barium sulfate and hydrogen peroxide, double displacement takes place. Barium and sulfate becomes barium sulfate, hydrogen and oxygen becomes hydrogen peroxide. Okay. Can we use anhydrous barium peroxide? Can we use anhydrous barium peroxide for preparing hydrogen peroxide? We cannot use anhydrous barium peroxide. Why we cannot use anhydrous barium peroxide? That we will see. Now we will see that it is anhydrous barium peroxide. In the surface, barium peroxide molecules are there. Dilute sulfuric acid, because of this dilute sulfuric acid, surface is becoming barium sulfate. This barium sulfate is insoluble salt. Due to insoluble salt, sulfuric acid is unable to go to bulk. Bulk in the sense inside barium peroxide. So inside barium peroxide is unable to contact with the sulfuric acid. So inside barium peroxide is not reacting with the sulfuric acid because it is not in contact with the sulfuric acid. Therefore, inside barium peroxide is not converting into hydrogen peroxide. Therefore, we cannot use anhydrous barium peroxide for preparing hydrogen peroxide. But if we use hydrated barium peroxide, we can. Why? Now we will see the surface. This is the surface. In the surface, what is there means hydrated barium peroxide is there. That means BaO2.8H2. BaO2.8H2 is present. Now what happens means the surface is reacting with the dilute sulfuric acid. Therefore, in the surface, this barium peroxide is converting into barium sulfate. Barium sulfate. Okay. Then here also, this surface barium peroxide is converting into what in the sense barium sulfate. Barium sulfate. Barium sulfate is not in contact with water. Why? Because barium sulfate is insoluble in water. This water goes to which one in the sense dilute sulfuric acid solution. This water goes to where means dilute sulfuric acid solution. Therefore, here empty gap is created. Dilute sulfuric acid moves through this empty gap and reaches the bulk barium peroxide and react with the bulk barium peroxide. Therefore, we can use hydrated barium peroxide for preparing hydrogen peroxide. Okay, but we cannot use anhydrous barium peroxide. So, anhydrous barium peroxide we are not using for preparing hydrogen peroxide. We are using hydrated barium peroxide for preparing hydrogen peroxide. Okay. Then instead of sulfuric acid, we can take H3PO4. If we take H3PO4, barium is becoming barium phosphate, Ba3PO4 twice. Then we are getting hydrogen peroxide, we are getting. Even instead of H3PO4, we can pass carbon dioxide and water. Then barium is precipitating as barium carbonate. Peroxide becomes hydrogen peroxide. Peroxide becomes hydrogen peroxide, we can say. Sorry, these are laboratory preparation of hydrogen peroxide. Next, we will see manufacture of hydrogen peroxide. It is done by electrolysis. By electrolysis, we can manufacture hydrogen peroxide. Okay. Here we have to take electrolyte. We are taking a vessel. In this vessel, we are taking electrolyte. Electrolyte is what, in the sense 50% aqueous solution of 50% aqueous solution of 50% aqueous solution of sulfuric acid. 50% aqueous solution of sulfuric acid. What is meant by 50% aqueous solution of sulfuric acid? 50 grams of sulfuric acid means 50 grams of water. Like this we have taken. Mass percentage. 50 grams of aqueous sulfuric acid we have taken. Then we are taking diaphragm. We are taking diaphragm. It is a diaphragm. It is like a cylinder. It is like a cylinder. Diaphragm we are taking. Then we are taking anode. Anode is what means platinum. That anode is inserted into the diaphragm. Is inserted into the diaphragm. This is anode. It is platinum. Anode is inserted into the diaphragm. Next, cathode. Cathode is lead wire. Lead wire is winding over diaphragm. Winding over diaphragm. Cathode. Cathode is lead. Lead is winding over diaphragm. Cathode is present over diaphragm. Anode is present in the diaphragm. Therefore, anode and cathode are not in contact. Which is separating anode and cathode? Diaphragm is separating anode and cathode. Then provide ice cold temperature. Therefore, keep ice below the container. Here we have to keep ice. So we are keeping ice here. In this vessel, you are keeping what, in the sense ice you are keeping. Okay. Now we have taken sulfuric acid. This sulfuric acid undergoes ionization. That on ionization gives H plus and HSO4 minus. So sulfuric acid ionizes to give what, in the sense H plus and bisulfate HSO4 minus. Next we will see it is ionization. Then we will see cathodic process. At cathode, this H plus goes to the cathode, takes electron and becomes hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom combines with another hydrogen atom and becomes hydrogen gas. So at cathode we are getting hydrogen gas we are getting. Bisulfate is anion, goes to anode. Bisulfate anion goes to anode. It is losing this electron and becomes HSO4. It is dimerizing and becomes H2S2O8. It is called Marshall's acid. We can call this as Marshall's acid. Now, this HSO4 minus we will see. This HSO4 minus, we can write it as like this. This HSO4 minus we have written like this. Now, this oxygen valence shell contains how many electrons we will see. This oxygen comes under 6th group. This valence shell contains 6 electrons. When it loses this, this O minus, this is O minus. O minus in the sense, due to minus charge, 7th electron should be present. Okay. Now, it is losing 1 electron. This is going to anode, in the sense it has to give electron to the anode. Therefore, it is losing 1 electron. So 1 electron will remove and a negative charge also we will remove. Okay. Now like this is said. Another bisulfate radical we will take. Another bisulfate radical we are taking.